Okay, we seem to be live. They moved the little counter thing, so I'm looking in the wrong place. Yeah, great. The last video I did, episode, was not Stetson. If you go back to 316, but in 318, I had said I was going to do more of a generic overall kind of hat rundown update, maybe partly, but also a Western hat update. This is not that, okay? This hat I didn't expect to get till Tuesday, and it showed up today. I called them on Thursday to try and adjust the sizing because I had already tried on the one from episode 316, like I just said, the acoustic in the driftwood color, which definitely was too small. So forewarning, this one will be too small as well. Spoiler alert. But that's going to give me an opportunity before I unbox the hat to talk about stuff that you might not care about. So if you really don't care about why I bought this hat, go ahead and skip ahead and, to where you see the box, and then you'll know that I'm talking about that specific hat. Meantime, okay, like I said, this is partially a rundown of some of the stuff I was going to talk about in the next rundown video, but a lot of that stuff I already talked about in my safari videos from last summer sometime or whenever that was. So I'll put those links at the end to those two videos, and then links to the other hat videos. But the other Stetson video I just did about the travel crushable hats, some of that I already talked about in that episode too, which is 313. So if you go back to 10 days ago, as recently as 10 days ago, because that was what prompted me to buy this hat, not the other cowboy hats more. Okay. But for those of you who aren't going to go back and watch all those other things, I'm still going to do a bit of a recap because this, I'm calling it a safari hat. Now, Stetson does not call this a safari hat. And I'm estimating that it's a 5X felt. It might be a 4X felt. I'm not positive. They have another one. This is called the Tri-City Fedora. It's another spoiler alert. It's no longer available in the size I wanted, apparently, in either color, but it comes in chocolate or sage, what they call sage, but is quite a dark green on their website photo. Now, as we learned in the driftwood video and such, their color representations are not always very accurate because the driftwood definitely was a more mocha than tan. How much you're splitting hairs, I don't know. But definitely was not the color I expected, and definitely was not the sizing that I expected. So that one's gone. I might try and order it again later in the year, but in the meantime, not a hat I was planning to wear in the next few months anyway, because it's a heavy felt cowboy thing and blah, blah, blah. But like I said, having learned that lesson, I called them and didn't really get the answers I was looking for, and I didn't get to change the size on this. And like I said, the size on this is sold out now in both of those colors. Okay, so what I'm wearing is not a Stetson hat. I do have a similar Stetson hat here in the bag, but I chose to leave it in the bag for this video just because it looks even less safari than the pinch crown indie ones slightly. It's kind of more of a mountain man shape. But anyway, this is one of the hats that I discussed in episode 313 anyway. So again, if you want to see this hat, discussed more, matches my shirt a little better, go back and watch that video. But again, I don't consider this a safari hat, just like I don't consider any of the knockoff indies or even the true replica indies safari hats in the truest sense, because again, and Stetson shortened the brim on this exact model, and they call it something else now. But they still have similar to this available if you're interested in that or the other color, which I'll talk about the other color in a minute. So anyway, so this hat being a knockoff indie, the pinch for the Australia look, right? Although the American cattleman crown, I don't think came from the actual American frontier. I think that came from the Australian military crown also. That's just from, observation, but you can get, a gazillion different versions of this now. Again, what I'm going to talk about more extensively in the next video and what I already talked about in the previous safari videos. But, these mesh ones, this one's from Dorfman Pacific, this one's from Henschel, but similar brims, maybe a little bit wider of a brim than this one. But this is what they are calling safari hats on a lot of the other websites now, even though traditionally a true safari hat does not have plastic in the crown. This one claims to be 100% cotton, but it's not the same cotton as they used to sell. Again, if you go back and watch my hiking hat video or my other videos, Dorfman changed most of their hats, and a chin strap is a nice feature, but I don't know how much they were in use in all of the original old felt hats that would have been. Again, this one isn't necessarily meant to be as crushable and all that as the other ones, but it still has not a stiff felt brim, not as wide of a brim. So for reference, again, the two main sources I like to go with is Robert Redford in Out of Africa and Val Kilmer in Ghost in the Darkness. So if you see either of those movies, Val Kilmer only wears one hat in the whole thing, and I'm not sure who made this, probably a Hollywood custom thing. Robert Redford actually has 3 hats. I always thought it was 2, but it's actually 3. And one of them, like I said, I was just about to talk about this other color. One of them is more of a kind of a British khaki color. Again, this is the wrong kind of crown, the wrong kind of material, but pretty close. So I've always been kind of, I have a full mesh, or sorry, a non-mesh regular full fabric crown of this, and they ran bigger for some reason, so I had to get it in the smaller size, and it's not terribly comfortable. This style, this is Outback, by the way, from Cabela's or wherever. So again, another Australian style hat, but pretty close to what Redford wears. Again, but he does not have mesh. But the color, pretty close to one. The other one he has is quite a dark green, which again, this Tri-City that they call sage. Now, I would say this shirt I'm wearing is sage-ish. This is more the color of the hat, if you see it on the website. They have another one called the Midtown that looks nice, but it's a less quality felt, I guess. And it is a wide flat brim. These brims are not quite as wide. They're 3 3/4, so they're not quite as wide as some of the other hats, but they're definitely wider than something like this by a little bit, either a 1/4 or a 1/2 inch-ish, somewhere in there. So the Midtown says, with a wide flat brim, the Midtown is a rakish hat that, true to its name, exudes city style, but you can get it reshaped. And it has feathers on the side that you could remove. Made in Texas from firm, high-quality felt, it features a grosgrain, the S is silent, ribbon hat band accented by a bold feather on the interior. An absorbent Drylex sweatband instead of leather ensures it's as comfortable as it is stylish. So yeah, again, this has a cloth band. This has a cloth band. I showed. This is the similar thing in black, but you can see it has the ventilation holes. That is more typical of the ones we see in these films. But of course, this one being a size small, that's really tight on me and very hot to wear, even compared to the felt. Quality wool felt, center pinch, front crown, slightly different pinch front than, again, the one I'm going to show in a minute. Grosgrain band, satin liner, yada, yada. Okay, so that's, like I said, the wrong hat, but that one's 175 and it comes in 4 colors. I was tempted to get the oak, but I already have a bunch of brown hats and it doesn't have ventilation. And it does have a finished edge brim, though, similar to this Akubra. This has been my most popular video lately, is this Akubra. but this is not, again, what I would call a safari hat or the proper style hat or whatever. Saving that for a minute. Okay. So then skipping ahead, the Tri-City, we'll say almost the exact same words. This stylish fedora is constructed of firm Royal Deluxe quality fur felt, which again, I think is 5X-ish, somewhere in there, and features a striking modern profile. This classic center dent crown is paired with a relatively wide 3 3/4 bound edge. Again, not quite as big around the edge. The biggest I was going to find without buying another Australian one. And features a wide grosgrain hat band. Fully lined, excuse me. Fully lined, it has a genuine cowhide sweatband and ships in a Stetson hat box. Now, this is not the pretty hat box that the other one, the acoustic, came in with the cowboy on it and all that. I took a picture and it didn't come out that good. So I took another picture that came out even worse for showing all the details. So that you get what you get. I'll show the box in a second. Genuine cowhide sweatband now and ships in a Stetson hat. Not. It certainly cost more and it certainly came in a color that was more what I was looking for. 4-inch center dent crown. Excuse me. Little dust from one of these hats. 4-inch center dent crown. 3 3/4 bound edge flat brim, like I said. You can shape the brim, and I'm probably going to reshape the crown anyway, but I don't know if it'll be cost effective to add ventilation to it. Firm fur felt. So those of you who tuned in and skipped ahead, you're missing this part. I'll tell you about it when I pull up the box, and then I'll have to back it up and rewatch this part. Made in USA. The other one made in USA? The other one does not say made in USA. So the Tri-City is made in USA. The Midtown, don't know. I assume it's not. So there you go. So for those of you who want a Stetson made in USA, yeah, I got to spend the extra $150 or whatever, ish. Good to know. So anyway, so going back. Tracking slightly. Oops. Again, similar not wool hats. I got this canvas one from, it doesn't have a tag in it, but I think it was Henschel many years ago. And it has a snap where you can put up the side. And this hat band is not from this hat. It's from an old one that was a cowboy hat that I took off this band years ago when I outgrew the hat and just kept it. And I thought it looked kind of more safari than some of my other things. So it ended up here. And I hardly ever wear this because it has no ventilation and it's like wearing a sweaty bucket, even though it's not felt. It doesn't really still breathe. So yeah, kind of a neglected specimen, but it was only $50 or whatever at the time. So then more recently-ish, however many years ago, as I just talked about in episode 313, I got this Stetson hat, and this came off a different hat entirely, but looks kind of safari. This was going to be my good felt one because at the time I thought this thing cost a fortune, and I got it from, I don't know, Cabela's or someplace. $69. So at the time, that seemed like all the money in the world. But this is an actual Stetson also. It just happens to not be the stiff felt of the 3 and 4Xs and up and whatever, or 2. Well, sometimes I think you can get a 1 or 2X that is a stiff brim, but I don't think Stetson and Resistol and stuff makes them in this quality price range or whatever. I don't know. I haven't looked at every single one of their hats and all their price ranges. I just know that this one's probably 120 or 150 now. I forget. We wanted to find out outdoor felt. This is called the Gallatin, by the way, which is the Bozeman goes for 145, Mountain Sky 145, Gallatin, okay, yeah, 145. So this, you can still get this exact same hat in that price. So again, this was going to be my actual safari hat, and I have posted photos of me wearing it. It doesn't fit as good as this one, but it looks a little more like a true safari hat because it has the wider brim, which again is still not as wide of a brim as some of the Australian hats, but for the price, I thought this was pretty darn close. And I'll read a little bit about it, but without reading the whole thing. Gallatin Outdoor Hat updates one of our most popular profiles with a rugged pick-stitched leather hat band, which I've covered over. But I'm going to take this off and put it on the other hat maybe. And a rich sage color. Again, this is not what I would call sage. This is almost what I would call brown. It's very dark. It's not the same green as the one the guy is wearing in the photo exactly. It does show water pouring off his head. So this, you know, is supposed to be water repellent to a greater degree than some of their other offerings, or like that other green one probably, which is closer to a true sage, in fact. 3 3/4 brim to shield you from the elements wherever you go. 4-inch pinch front crown. Handmade in USA. So this one is USA. Whether or not the midtone is, I don't know. From one high quality, 100% wool. High quality, but again, probably 2X. Its lightweight, fully crushable construction makes it easy to roll up and pack into a bag while retaining its shape, making it an ideal travel companion. Finished with absorbent Drylex sweatband, which again, not leather, which provides all-day comfort no matter how strenuous the outdoor adventure. Fully crushable, 100% wool, handmade in USA. Okay, so that's this one. Like I said, I'm not going to read the other one because I don't remember if I read it when I showed it in the other thing, but it's not a safari hat, so we're not going to spend all day. And then, of course, similar to this, I had just gotten the Borges & Scott with a even slightly wider brim, also in a very similar, again, floppy felt. So not a true safari hat in the stiff brim sense and all that, but a good winter hat for $100. And that was episode let's see. Oh, 293 was felt hats and all that. So that was that one about more Western styles and stuff. Where are you, Borges? I thought it was more recent. Excuse me. Where did it go? Oh, you know, I didn't use the correct. I didn't use a picture of the hat thumbnail. Okay, it was episode 305. It was hiding from me, episode 305. Okay. So for those of you who are interested in me talking about the Borges & Scott, you know, look that one up. Again, I bought this one forgetting that I had this one, and they're not the exact same color, but they're pretty close. This one fits a little better, like I said. The buckle's slightly different than the other Gallatin hat band and all that. But I maybe would have not bought it if I remembered that this one was in the closet, and then this one was only $70 when I got it, not the $145 that it is now. Yada, yada, yada. Live and learn, but I think that's a perfectly fine hat for... Now, again, a lot of these hats look more brown until you put them next to something that's actually brown, because this one isn't even actually brown, but it makes some of the other ones look more green, but this lighting is terrible. I thought it was my key light, but it's actually the overhead lights that are the bulbs are too yellow, so everything looks terrible, as I found out trying to show off the hats yesterday. But if I take a boot or something like that's brown, then, like I said, the kind of green, the green hue becomes a little more obvious, and you can see this is not the proper color for Indiana Jones hat because it's not brown, it's green, even though it barely looks green. And this is not the proper color for a Robert Redford hat, but it's still more green than brown. So there's that, or a Val Kilmer hat. So, yay, brown. This is a lighter brown than chocolate, of course, but brown nevertheless. Sorry for the extreme close-up. So the other hat, though, that I was measuring all these ones by, the one I was wearing in the Borges & Scott video, I realize it's been 20 minutes and I haven't unboxed the hat yet, but again, I don't care. because being thorough, the Akubra, I'm pretty positive that at least one of the 3 Redford hats is this model in a different color. And the color is available in US. Unfortunately, is this or the light green, which is kind of a brownish green, but almost sage again, very close to a sage, not the darker green, darker, not as dark as this green. I should really have left this out of the bag. It's not this color green exactly. It's a little bit lighter than this. So it's definitely not the same color as the Redford hat. And then, like I said, one of the 3 Redford hats is pretty positive it's this color with a green hat band on it or a brown one. He wears this color shirt in some of the scenes, and the hat matches the shirt. In other scenes, he wears, I think he wears a vest that matches this color, if memory serves. It would take me a minute to scroll the photos, but since we're spending forever making this video, I guess we might as well refresh my memory. I was just looking at them several hours ago, but I didn't share the photos. So in one, he's wearing a tan outfit with a dark green shirt and what looks like there's a shadow on the hat though. So it looks like a dark green hat, but it might not be. But in the next photo, that's the one where he's not wearing a hat. I see. I was not looking for hats at all. I was looking for his boots, and I just ended up with some good hat ones. And I have a Val Kilmer one that somebody else posted where the crown is too much cropped off, but it shows the wide brim. But that one is in shadow, but it does look green. It does look like it matches the shirt, at least in the photo, enough that I like the look of it. I'm not trying to look exactly like him in the movie. Anyway, I was just like, oh, I like that look. Then in the scene where he's giving her the compass on the horse, that's definitely a dark green hat. That is definitely, it has 4 holes in the brim though instead of 2. So I don't know if that's a different Akubra model. It has 4 smaller holes. It might be an Akubra model, but it could be a Hollywood custom deal. Because again, this movie's 40 years old or more now. So where they got all the hats, I don't know. But then, yeah, when they come back from World War I, he's wearing that. It's a green hat with a brown cloth wrap instead of a band. But in the scene where he's going to save her from the lions and she shoots first, he is wearing this color hat. The other hat, like I said, the floater hat, because that's a different scene when the scene that I was first talking about where the shadow's on the hat, I can't tell which color it is. It could be that same hat, and I'm thinking it's a third hat, but the brim width looks different. And so I'd have to go back and watch the whole 3-hour movie, and I'm not going to do that right now. But the one where he's handing her the bonnet, he's giving her a completely different outfit, because in the scene where she shoots the lion, she's wearing a pith helmet, not a bonnet. This one, she's wearing a bonnet, and he has a hat that is either brown or khaki of some kind. But anyway, like I said, at least one of them has this 2 holes. Everything's backwards with this camera. It has two holes instead of 3 or 4. The other one had 4 holes. This one has 2 big holes, so it could be an Akubra one. But like I said, I can't tell you what color it really is. The other one where he's wearing the definitely dark green one, the wrap is there. There's a pinch front crown, so it's almost like an indie pinch, but you can't see the side very well in this photo. So I can't tell what ventilation it has. It looks like there might be a high ventilation hole there, but don't know for sure. And the other one, again, is definitely not this color. It's definitely a lighter, what Akubra calls bran, maybe. what I thought was driftwood from Stetson, but it's not driftwood, but it's definitely darker than this. So if it isn't Akubra, it's not a shade that maybe they even offer anymore. Okay, so there we had 25 minutes of me talking about every hat almost except for the Akubra, or sorry, the Stetson. Okay, so on the one side we have the box. For those of you who scrolled ahead to this part or just tuning in, I did read all the specs of this hat and the Midtown hat. So if you want to hear those specs, you might want to go back and rewatch part of the video, if you can find it. The other side of the box. Handmade in the USA, which I was going to put made in USA in the title, but I couldn't fit everything. So the top says Stetson. I took out the packing slip already, and that was the only other thing in this box that I recall. There wasn't any felt inserts or anything like that. The Akubra ones come with this that is kind of eh. But Stetson doesn't, I don't know if they sell them separate or not. But so anyway, so you've got that kind of thing and a couple breathing holes or whatever for your cat. And that's the whole box. Nothing up the sleeve. Nothing up the sleeve. Okay, so then the hat itself, as we said, we have a finished edge. Now they use this light brown that I think looks dumb. I think they should have used black. I might remove that just because now I gotta wait for the camera to focus. This foam stuff, we'll remove that. In the meantime, hopefully the camera come back. Okay, well, another joy of filming in this world. But as you can see, oh, there it goes. As you can see, it is quite a bit darker. It looks, in this lighting, the same color as the one I'm wearing, but I can assure you it is not the same color as the one I'm wearing, because the one I'm wearing is a lot more gray and a lot less green. Is that going to work? I don't know. As I said, the bash in the center is not the same as an indie bash, and it's not the same as the Redford style bash, which again is much closer to the Akubra, or is an Akubra, don't know. And the brim obviously is not as wide as an Akubra, although it'll be hard to get it to cooperate. There we go. It's close, but not quite, because obviously that totally clips. But pretty close and not shaped again. So I will have to do a thing or two now before. And also, it's not an army green. This one, see, now on this camera, these look like they almost the exact same green. They're not. This is definitely a lot more dark and yellow than this. So we're having a bit of an issue. I don't want to put my sweaty head in this hat right now. So more apologies, but it is what it is. Okay. So again, I couldn't adjust the size. It had already shipped, and the other one is sold out anyway. So I got 7 1/8, which again, in this one and the Akubra, is apparently the wrong size. So this one, I went up to a 58, which is not my size in the other hat, but is supposedly the better size in this one because it's supposed to shrink down to fit. So if this shrinks at all, I'll be really unhappy because, again, it's just right on the verge, same as that acoustic was. It's a little different shape, so it's not as bad as that one was. It's a little more comfortable, but it might be a headache hat if it shrinks any. They said flat brim. I don't know. I'm not renting women out on a corner, so I don't really want all the feathers in the flat brim. Like I said, I'm definitely looking to get the crown reshaped, and at that point maybe they can stretch it a little, because with the Akubra I'm able to pinch the sides in. The felt is not as stiff. I'm able to kind of pinch the sides in, so I have a little wiggle room if I was going to try and reshape it. Less important with this hat that's a little too big than the other one in the other color that's a little too small, that I showed in the other territory video. That more than enough people are watching that one, so I don't need to worry about finding the number of that video right now, but that has been a popular video, so yay. But that's the territory. And if you like that, again, that crown shape and that other color or whatever, you can look for that. But the big issue with this one is this ribbon, if I can get my finger to point at the right place with the stupid camera, is not adjustable like the Borges and Scott. The Borges and Scott, it came untied like immediately. And I showed that. I didn't untie it. It came untied. But you're supposed to be able to cinch it. This one, you're not supposed to be able to cinch it. But the problem is, instead of just tying it, they use this ball of glue that stabs me in the back of the head, especially since the hat's a little tight. So I'm going to have to remove that cute little ribbon and throw it in the freaking garbage, or stick it to another hat or something. So there's your Stetson, means quality. There's your upside down word name. There we go. There's your leather sweatband instead of the cloth one. And there's your annoying ribbon, and of course the sizing, even though the sizing does not match my head, which is really annoying because the cheaper hat I buy fits great. Put it on, wear it all day, no problem. 3 times the price. Maybe I can get it reshaped, it'll fit. Maybe it'll shrink and it won't fit. Maybe this, maybe that. Couldn't adjust the size when I called, yada, yada, yada. It does have a lining. So I'm a little annoyed with the Stetson and the MHT sizing was kind of weird, but I got that hat for so inexpensive it didn't matter. But I couldn't find much of them available to buy direct anyway. Same with American Hat Company. The hat company I'm recommending, they don't have this style at all. That's the thing about Stetson, is they do have a wider range of stuff. So again, if I wanted a safari hat without having to buy an Australian hat again, because I think for what it is, this was a little bit less expensive than ordering a different color of this from Australia and then still having the fit issues, yada, yada, yada. So the trade-off was live with it. It's $80 less or whatever, suck it up. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know if I'll have a guy add ventilation to it or not, but if I take it to Boot Barn and trust them with it, I can get the crown rebashed and the brim steamed. I'm not going to do it myself. I could do the brim myself, but not the crown so much. I wouldn't want to experiment on it this expensive of a hat. I don't think Boot Barn is the master of crown rebashing, but free is better than paying at least the first time. If he messes it all up, then I'll have to pay the $80 or whatever to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, supposedly more. I don't know. Because like I said, I'm not going to try and do it myself. But again, not the right size, not the right shape, but pretty close to the right color, pretty close to matching again. So, you know, the verdict hopefully is good enough, right? Good enough. Again, just imagine it being more drover shape and with it less. I don't know if I can push this out or not. Yeah, I don't want to mess it up, but not quite. See, in the one picture, his Redford looks a little more stovepipey from the side, but it's not exactly a stovepipe either. And again, I might put this ribbon over that ribbon just for a little more flair, even though this is not what he's wearing in the film. His is not colorful and stuff. It's just a solid fabric shade. So kinda. But But overall, you know, you can, yeah, the felt is pretty soft. I was a little bit more impressed with the softness of the Resistol 6X or whatever it was compared to the Stetson 6X. But this, again, is not rated as a 6X. So I don't know if this is the exact same felt as the Midtown, you know, and they're just gouging you for a different color price wise. Could be, wouldn't rule it out. Same as a lot of the matching bands. Well, I don't have one in here, but the cowboy hats now, they're doing the matching felt band. That's literally then just chopping off part of the brim and making it into a hat band, right? Throwing away part of the brim that you'd want to keep, probably. Don't know, whatever. I'd rather have a leather like this one, you know, more of the time than even the fabric. But again, leather being more of the Aussie look than the Africa safari look. So again, you know, one of these days I'll move this one to a different hat too, but not this one. I think it's a little too much contrast. But a hat that I'll want to wear, because again, this one's a sweat bucket. It never gets worn much. But it does have a chin strap, which this one, I don't know if I can put the Akubra chin strap in this one. But the Akubra chin strap also has the thing that I don't like about this breakaway gimmick, that in California wind means you're still going to lose your hat. What's the point of the chin strap if it's just going to disconnect and go flying? I don't know. Okay, so 36 minutes to talk about the hat for like 8 minutes, right? The actual hat. But again, I think you're supposed, when they say rakish, which side are you supposed to rake it to? For the feathers would be going up more, right? So, but I can't get a hat to sit on my head like that, especially when it's too small. But if it was too big, a little bit bigger, you can see that it might come down slightly too far. So you're always damned if you do, damned if you don't. But they say you're supposed to get the bigger ones so they conform to your head. So I don't know how much this one will conform to where I want. But again, the brim being a little bit too proud or whatever, too happy and not quite relaxed enough. It shows off too much forehead and looks kind of dorky, which is not, you know, the cool safari look. So again, hopefully a little bit of steam will take care of that and not be so bad. And in the meantime, I can wear this one and it looks safari-ish for, you know, what it's worth. Or of course, what I've actually been wearing a lot this month, because I promised I would try and wear it and figure it out and see if it would shrink and conform and blah, blah, blah. Even though the weather's been kind of warm, I haven't always been able to wear it because it has been a bit windy. And so if there's a bunch of wind, again, I want something with a chin strap that I know is not going to be an issue and lose the hat. So, although I don't like the mesh in the wind either. Like I said, I'll talk about that in other video. More. This one would actually be fine if it's not too warm and it's windy-ish. But I do have the ones where the holes, there's a double hole, and so you can run the string behind your head, and I like that better. But I haven't committed to the idea yet of, I'm pretty close to having two similar vent holes put almost in the crown of, or I'm sorry, the brim of this one to kind of match the crown. And I could run a better string than this that I don't have to worry about losing the hat. Would I do the same thing with this one? I don't know. Maybe, because like I said, I probably will try and add vents to this one eventually, but since it's more meant as a winter hat and it's a little bit lighter weight than this one in terms of felt and everything, you know, don't know. We'll see how it does through the winter. If it shrinks and it doesn't fit, then I'll just be trying to sell the thing. So I won't want to punch a bunch of holes in it and stuff. In the meantime, if I don't end up keeping it because it's turned into way too small. And so, yeah, the little bow gets to stay for a year. On its anniversary, though, if this thing still fits, that thing is gone first, and then maybe the lining also. I I've seen a lot of videos where they talk about just taking out the lining on principle for heat reasons and yada, yada, yada. I haven't really had a lot of lined hats. The Akubra ones, though, have the plastic in them. Complain about. I think it's pretty easy to remove the plastic. I just haven't bothered yet because it hasn't been that hot yet. And when it gets that hot, I might not be wearing it at all because, again, I have like 50 of these already. So we'll see. Yeah. So check back in a year, and either I'll be saying I sold this hat maybe or tried to sell it, or I'll be saying, oh, look, I ripped out the lining. I turned, oh, this lining. Well, that's lovely. It's falling out on its own already. So I don't know why I didn't get this hat at a discount. I might call and complain and try and get a little bit of money back on Monday or whatever after the holiday. But on the other hand, like I said, I might just take out that lining entirely if I keep the hat anyway, because if I'm wearing a hat for outdoor sun heat, I think it probably, isn't a big deal because the band covers it over anyway. If I was going to keep the lining in there, I might re-glue it. So if somebody was buying it, I might tell them, hey, check out the lining, make sure it's what you want, But yeah, it's not a big issue. Just smooths right back down. Smooths right back down. So, okay, so that's about all I have to say about this hat for 20 minutes. If you have any questions, of course, put them in the comments. I did activate the buy me a coffee or pizza, if you prefer, thing, description. And like I said, it takes me a while to put the links to the other videos, but eventually in a day or so, I'll have links to the other videos. And of course, I'm always saying boycott Tinder. I mean it. I made 3 long videos about this, so I won't go into it too much now. But toxic employee culture, I don't know about, whether we can accuse them of consumer fraud or bring a class action lawsuit of any kind. If you're a smart lawyer, you can figure that out. If you're just a regular guy, contact them before you give them your money. Ask them why you employ people who hate 80% of men, or all conservative men, or men who want an actual marriage instead of a hookup. And, because if you just want to hook up, maybe that site will work for you. But even then, the ratio is probably 500 to 1. Good luck. Maybe you'll find a woman who's interested. And I'm not even saying this just to the men. Women, if you're looking for, for whatever reason you're watching this because you find I'm so handsome and interesting, I guess. If you're a woman, you're probably not going to find a marriage-interested man on that site either. And I'm really picking on them more than the other ones because they're the biggest, I guess, now, somehow. And but I don't know if that makes them the best or even any good. So that's that. Save your money. Good luck finding. And, have fun on your safari. Don't, wear any rotten boots, and don't wear any rotten hats, and get as much sun protection as you can. Because, again, the cowboy hat, I think, is meant to be aerodynamic or something, but it really isn't, as much ears and neck and your nose coverage as you'd like to get. Obviously, no hat is perfect. And again, this being about the widest brim you're going to find. Maybe you don't always want the widest brim for whatever reason. I don't know. And maybe this color is not appealing to you. Like I said, there's the other color option. There's limited colors, but none of them is the actual dark green as far as I can tell. But I don't know that the Akubra site, if their colors are totally accurate either. Like I said, 40 something years ago, they might have had a color that was better that he was able to get. I don't know if you can get that color now without, again, going to a Hollywood custom, what do you call it, costume designer, who, just does hats for movies. On the free market, or open market, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, this is the closest thing to 2 of the Redford hats. If there's a third one, again, it has slightly different amount of ventilation holes, and that's about it. Otherwise, I think it's basically this hat. But I think the Stetson one is, you know, like I said, closer to the colors and a little bit cheaper than buying one from Australia with shipping and everything. So that's the one I got, and I wish it fit a little better.